Today, we're diving into a super common, yet kinda taboo dynamic in dating: the psychological pressure of finances, and how you can set healthy boundaries without wrecking a genuine connection. Let's jump right into the source material.
Let's hit the core of the problem right out of the gate. Have you ever had someone you're dating ask for money, and even though every fiber of your being was screaming no, you found yourself reaching for your wallet anyway? We really need to confront that immediate gut-wrenching fear, that deep-seated worry of saying no just because you're terrified she'll think you're cheap, or worse, that she's going to lose interest and just find someone else.
There's this brilliant quote from our source material that perfectly captures the trap we're dissecting today. It says, "Giving someone money is a financial decision. It shouldn't become an emotional test of how much you love her." And that right there is the dangerous blurring of lines. You see, when we confuse practical, mathematical, financial transactions with emotional devotion, that's exactly where this whole dynamic goes off the rails. It stops being about your budget and suddenly morphs into this high-stakes test of your affection.
Section 1. The Financial Fear Trap.
When this fear takes hold, it completely rewires your behavior. What the source highlights here is honestly pretty wild. This fear of refusal literally forces a guy to spend money he never ever planned to spend. Suddenly, you're shuffling your own finances, dipping into money that was meant for your own bills, all just to avoid looking inadequate. It's an incredibly stressful spot to be in, right? Especially when you realize that closing your wallet might make her affection just vanish. It implies the relationship is entirely conditional on your cash.
Section 2. Leading with your wallet. Take a look at the profound communication disconnect happening here. You might be casually chatting about your car, your salary, maybe a business you own, or those fancy vacations you took. And in your head, you're thinking you're just showing her that you're a successful, capable guy. But she might be hearing something completely different. She just hears, "This man has surplus money available for me." Without even meaning to, you've accidentally set a really dangerous precedent.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. You've got to pace the reveal of your financial success. You absolutely don't need to hide the fact that you do well for yourself, but you cannot use it as your main selling point. Let her discover your values, your interests, your plans, and your experiences way before she discovers a complete inventory of everything you own. Because if you lead with the wallet, you run an incredibly high risk of attracting someone whose main interest is just using you as a financial backup plan.
Section 3. Pausing the pressure.
The source material outlines a highly effective technique for this exact situation. When your phone rings and she desperately needs money for a bill that's due today, or her phone suddenly broke, you're going to feel this immense artificial pressure to make a decision in like 5 minutes. But you don't have to do that. The pause strategy dictates your immediate response. You just say, "Let me think about it." Using this exact sequence buys you the essential time to step away, get by yourself, and completely strip the emotional urgency and guilt right out of the equation.
And once you're alone, the source recommends doing a quick, private self-audit. Actually ask yourself, can I realistically afford this without dipping into my own rent or savings? Has she been asking for money a lot lately, making this a regular pattern instead of a one-time thing? And, maybe most importantly, are you handing over the cash because you genuinely want to help out of love, or are you doing it because you are absolutely terrified of her being disappointed and walking away? Asking these questions guarantees you're making a rational financial choice, not a panicked emotional one.
And if that audit leads you to a no, well, here's your script. You do not need to invent some elaborate story. You definitely don't need to lie and say you're waiting on a check to clear. Just say, "I can't help financially with that right now." That is a complete sentence, and it is a perfectly valid answer. A mature partner who genuinely cares for you is going to respect that honest boundary warmly without trying to punish you for it.
Section 4. Alternatives to cash.
Now, setting a financial boundary definitely doesn't mean you have to stop being supportive. Think about it. If she's got a transportation issue, offer to give her a ride. If she needs a specific item, use your time to help her research where to get it for way less. If she's constantly short on cash, sit down and help her search for better work or brainstorm how to monetize a skill she already has. You're proactively offering your time, your energy, and your brain power to actually solve the root problem.
Which brings us to a brilliant litmus test. If she genuinely wants to fix a problem, she's going to be incredibly grateful for your time, your advice, and your non-financial support. But on the flip side, if every single reasonable, logical solution you offer gets immediately shot down because the only acceptable answer to her is cold, hard cash directly from your bank account, well, you are absolutely allowed to heavily question her true intentions.
Another critical question the source poses is this: what other options has she actually considered before coming to you? Seriously, before you go and delay your own bills or tap into your hard-earned savings, ask yourself,
Has she taken any real responsibility here? Has she adjusted her own spending habits? Has she even considered selling something valuable to cover her own emergency? It's a huge point to consider.
The logic here is totally unavoidable, and honestly, it's a bit astounding when you step back and really look at it. It is incredibly unreasonable for someone to maintain an expensive lifestyle, keeping the designer bags, the expensive new phones, the luxury items, while simultaneously expecting you to sacrifice your financial stability to fund their emergencies. If she's out there protecting her luxuries while demanding you sacrifice your basic necessities, the source identifies this as a massive, glaring red flag.
Section 5. The ultimate relationship test.
To truly confront that fear of being replaced, we really have to redefine what generosity actually is. And the source is crystal clear on this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with providing for someone you love. Generosity is a beautiful thing, but it has to remain a personal choice. The very second it transforms into an expected obligation, like a toll you have to continuously pay just to secure her affection and keep her from leaving, it's not generosity anymore. It's just a transaction.
And here is a fascinating perspective shift for you. So many guys fear saying no because they're convinced it'll destroy the relationship. But the source argues that saying no doesn't actually cost you a genuine relationship. Think about it. If simply setting a healthy boundary and saying, "I can't pay for that," makes her instantly cold, distant, or manipulative, you didn't lose a loving partner. You literally just gathered critical data that revealed the transactional nature of the connection you already had.
Now, what about those of you worried she might just go find another guy who will pay? Honestly, she might. But you need to understand this reality check. Trying to keep a woman interested by continuously increasing what you spend is a financial race you can never, ever permanently win. There is always going to be a guy out there with a more expensive car or more disposable income who's going to say yes faster than you. You have to refuse to enter that exhausting, unwinnable competition. Because your worth is not measured by your utility as an ATM.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought directly from the source material. It's a question to truly test the foundation of your connection. If you completely remove the expectation that every financial problem in her life is automatically your responsibility to solve, what happens to the relationship then? If you stop financing her today, would she still be genuinely interested in just spending time with you? Let that answer reveal itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this structured look at financial boundaries empowers you moving forward.